This video is inspired by a fun conversation I had online with some friends recently. It's going to be a little bit different than other videos I've uploaded, and I hope you enjoy it. The question we are attempting to answer is, if you treated every Major League Baseball player with the same first name as if they were one player, which first name has the best batting average overall? So, all of the Georges that have ever played Major League Baseball are one player. All of the Steves that have ever played are one player. And the statistic that we are comparing is the collective batting average based on their combined at-bats. This might seem like a simple question to answer, but it's actually not. So I hope you enjoy this journey. The tools we're going to use to answer this question are Baseball Reference's Stathead and good old Microsoft Excel. Now, in order for Baseball Reference to include a player on its lifetime batting stats leaderboard, that player must have at least 3,000 plate appearances, which, for reference, is the number of plate appearances that a single, everyday Major League player would see across maybe 5 to 6 seasons. That's a pretty reasonable and attainable threshold, but we're going to be extending this minimum across the entire first name. So the entirety of the first name combined must have at least 3,000 plate appearances. All right, we're going to get into it now. So if you want to play along, pause the video now and see who you come up with as your first guess. The spoilers start right now. The first thing that comes to mind is that it's probably not going to be a common name like Michael or Juan. Since the more common the name, the more likely it is that the batting average will average out to about average, which if you watched my baseball rate stats and plus stats video, you know generally sits a little bit above 250. So the answer to this question probably involves a player with a rare first name with an exceptionally high batting average. And right away, this seems like it's going to be a pretty easy question to answer because the all-time leaderboard for batting average is full of unique names. Turkey, Judd, Tris, Rogers with an S. But the all-time leader for batting average is Ty Cobb, whose first name, Tyrus, does not appear for any other player on Baseball Reference. So the natural answer would be that Tyrus is the best baseball batting average name, and Ty Cobb's career batting average of 366 is the best batting average for any first name. Case closed. Except there was, in fact, another Tyrus Turner Barber, who is in Baseball Reference as just Turner Barber. And when you factor Tyrus Turner Barber's hits and at-bats into the equation, Tyrus's batting average drops to 357. This brings us to the first conundrum. Is Ty Cobb a Tyrus or a Ty? There are Tyruses and there are Ties, but not all Tyruses are Ties, and not all Ties are Tyruses. So do we go by a player's given name or their name in Baseball Reference? Baseball Reference tends to include players based on the name that they are most commonly known by. For example, Babe Ruth is Babe in Baseball Reference, even though he was George on his birth certificate. And what do we do about nicknames? Is Shoeless Joe Jackson's first name Shoeless? Or is it Joe? Or is it Shoeless Joe? On Baseball Reference, it looks like his first name is Shoeless. Instead of making a choice, we decided to treat these as two separate categories. We were going to look for the given name with the best batting average and the Baseball Reference name with the best batting average. And because both of these categories ended up including people at the very top of the all-time list of batting average, this was actually pretty easy. If you go by given name, the winner is indeed Tyrus with a batting average of 357. This includes all of the at-bats in Ty Cobb's career and in Turner Barber's career. There are no other Tyruses on Baseball Reference, so Tyrus is the clean winner of this category. If you're going by the name that the player was known by, and therefore is the one in Baseball Reference, there's actually a name with a higher batting average than 357. Pause the video now if you want to guess. Okay, you got it? The first name, according to Baseball Reference, with the best batting average is Rogers with an S. There have been 3 Rogers with an S's who have recorded at-bats at the Major League level, but only 2 of them are in Baseball Reference as Rogers with an S. Hall of Famer Rogers Hornsby, who had a batting average of 358 across 8,173 at-bats, and Rogers Pierre, a pitcher for the Chicago American Giants with exactly 3 plate appearances. So the batting average of Rogers with an S is therefore essentially the batting average of Rogers Hornsby, the 3rd highest of all time, with 358. And that's your answer. The first name with the best batting average of all time is either Tyrus or Rogers with an S, depending on what you're looking for. Among players that have 3,000 plate appearances, there's only one player in between Ty Cobb and Rogers Hornsby, Hall of Famer Oscar Charleston. But Oscar is common enough that there are Oscars with lesser batting averages that bring down the overall batting average of Oscar to the point where it can't compete with Tyrus or Rogers with an S. I investigated the other names it could possibly be. The first is Josh, which is dominated by Hall of Famer Josh Gibson. Now, Josh Gibson played at the same time as Babe Ruth, and today is thought to be at least on the level of Ruth as a power hitter. But Gibson's number of official plate appearances just misses the cutoff due to the fact that Gibson, like basically all Negro League players, spent much of his time playing exhibition games and games that are considered unofficial by current standards. Also, there are a lot of Joshes, so the overall batting average of Josh would almost definitely not be high enough, even if we had a more complete record of statistics for Negro League players. Then there's the baseball reference name Heavy, which ultimately does not have enough plate appearances to qualify. And finally, there's this dude, Ross Barnes, who played in the 1800s, but whose baseball reference name Ross and given name Charles are both not in contention. So unless there's some new type of math that I don't know about that would allow another name to compete with Rogers with an S or Tyrus, those two names are your answer. But that's not very fun. Ty Cobb and Rogers Hornsby represent an incredibly different era of baseball, an era where the game was entirely segregated, where players looked like they were about 60 years older than they were, and where baseball stats just looked different. So let's change the parameters. Instead of all time, let's find the best hitting first names among players in the modern era, which I generally consider to be 1961 onward. There are a lot of possible contenders for the year that started the quote-unquote modern era, but I like 1961 because it represents two major changes to Major League Baseball. It was the first year where all teams were integrated, and it was the first year of the 162-game season. This knocks a couple names out of contention, most notably Ted, but I think it's the best year to start with. And for the sake of simplicity, and due to the fact that nicknames have become less chaotic by 1961, we will consider only the players' names as they appear on Baseball Reference. So, to reiterate, we are looking for the best batting average first name, as if all players with the same first name were the same player. We are only considering first names as they appear on Baseball Reference. We are operating as if history begins in 1961, and we are retaining the 3,000 plate appearance minimum from before. If you'd like to take some time now to figure this out yourself, pause the video. Maybe even leave a comment. Spoilers are starting back up in 3, 2, 1.5, 1. If you guessed Vladimir, like me, you have correctly identified the first name that is, at best, third place overall. Vladimir is dominated, of course, by Vladimir Guerrero Sr. and Jr., but there are two pitchers in there as well, and this brings down Vladimir's average a bit. As of this exact moment, May 27th, 2022, in the early afternoon before any games have started, Vladimir has a batting average of .311, which again, we believe is third place within the parameters set by this exercise. If you said Ichiro, like several of my friends, you are correct if your goal was to find the name that is tied with Vladimir for third place. Ichiro is a very good guess, so don't feel bad. Ichiro is a very uncommon name. In fact, there's no Ichiro besides Ichiro, but there are still two names with a higher batting average than Ichiro's overall batting average of .311. To be specific, as of this exact moment, Ichiro is behind Vladimir by .00002. And yes, that's 4 zeros. So Vladimir and Ichiro are virtually tied at third, although this, of course, will be fluctuating. So by the time you watch this video, there might be more of a clear third place and fourth place, but as of now, they are virtually tied. If you said Rod, like many people, including my dad, you made a very good guess. Rod is an uncommon name, and Rod Carew's batting average of .328 towers over almost everyone else in the era that we're looking at. However, there are enough Rods with below average numbers, including catcher Rod Barajas, that the overall batting average for Rod is actually .289, which is not going to cut it. If you said Barry, knowing that there are two very strong Barrys out there, you made an alright guess, but Barry has the same basic problem as Rod. There have been enough Barrys that are not Barry Larkin or Barry Bonds that Barry's batting average is not going to be competitive for this exercise. The same goes for Tony, Roberto, and Pete, which are guesses that have come up amongst my friends. These names are all led by legendary batters with very high batting averages and a significant amount of plate appearances. However, much like Barry, Tony, Roberto, and Pete are just much too common to crack 300. This being said, Roberto is the closest at 293 and might actually be somewhere in the top 10. This has yet to be confirmed. Okay, this brings us to the top 2 batting average names since 1961. If you are stumped right now, it's likely that you, like me, are overestimating how common the first names are for 2 very well-known players with exceptionally high batting averages. In one case, there are only a handful of players with this name, and they're mostly pitchers with a relatively insignificant number of plate appearances. And with the other name, there's literally only one player with this name who has recorded a hit as a Major League Baseball player within the era that we are looking at. Okay, pause the video one more time if you want to think. Coming in at number 2, the number 2 name for batting average post 1961, at least according to the 18 hours of research we did for this video, is Wade, with a batting average of 312. That's right, Wade. I know what you're thinking. Wade is not that uncommon. My buddy's brother's name is Wade. This is true. Your buddy's brother is Wade, but it's not that common as a Major League Baseball name. And among the 7 Wades who have recorded plate appearances since 1961, only one of them has a significant number of at-bats. And it just so happens to be one of the greatest hitters of all time, Wade Rowden. Just kidding, Wade Boggs. Even with 5 pitchers and 1 pinch hitter filling out the rest of the Wade table, Wade Boggs' career batting average of 328 across 9,180 at-bats is enough to place Wade squarely at number 2, albeit by only 1 point. The order that Wade, Vladimir, and Ichiro are in, at least for now, depends on what Vladimir Guerrero's batting average is going forward. But for now, Wade is believed to be the number 2 name, thanks almost entirely to Wade Boggs. Okay, this brings us to number 1. The number 1 batting name since 1961. Pause the video one more time if you want. Drum roll, please. Are you doing the drum roll? All right, I'll do it. The number 1 batting name is Kirby. This was a surprise to me because, like Wade, I assumed there would have to be more Kirbys out there. But nope, Kirby Puckett, the first ballot Hall of Famer with a career batting average of 318, is essentially the only Kirby to record at-bats since 1961. The only other Kirby to come to the plate since 1961 is Kirby Yates, a fairly well-known relief pitcher who saw exactly 5 pitches across 2 at-bats in his career, including this surprisingly strong try for a single in the 2018 season.
In the hole, Machado with a long throw! Out at first! What a play by Machado. Yates in his second at-bat of his career. Almost an RBI.
So there you have it. The number 1 batting name since 1961 is Kirby, on account of the fact that the only Kirby who hit the ball at all since 1961 was a perennial all-star with one of the highest batting averages among qualified hitters of all time. If someone really wants to do some research, I'd love to see this done with the 50 most common names. So the best batting average first name among the 50 most common first names in Major League Baseball. This might be fun. It would definitely be more in the spirit of determining which name has the best batting average, seeing as the reality is that several of the very best hitters of all time have extremely uncommon names. I probably don't have time to make this video, but if you make this video, I will 100% give it a thumbs up and a subscribe, which I might recommend that you do now to this video. If you want to help fill out the top 10, or if you want to let me know that I've made a mistake somewhere, please feel free to do so in the comments. Thanks.